All right, we are now up with the 49ers pick. They are on the clock with 2.5 minutes to go. They're the 31st selection coming up. The two players that I thought they were going to be taking were now off the board at 29 and 30. I'm joined by Rick Goode. Rick, what do you think the 49ers need? They've come very, very close and fell short in the Super Bowl. What position do you think the 49ers need?
I think something that it's overlooked. It's not a sexy position. I think it's cost us 2 Super Bowls. I think that right side of our offensive line, I go back 2 Super Bowls ago and I see 3 balls batted down at the offensive line. I mean, we can't even put a hand in the stomach of a guy. We can't even push him. Guy gets to vertical leap like a basketball player, uncontested. You would think after he knocked down the second ball that maybe someone, somewhere, some genius would have, I don't know, done something, but it didn't happen. And, there's all these high-paid positions, and I think that position is overlooked. And the problem is with an offensive lineman, they're so underpaid. If you go down to the 30th spot, you're looking at about $15 million for a guy. And when you're looking at your budget for the team, guys aren't letting go of that lineman. For $15 million, it's like you're keeping him. It's just such a low value. So the place you got to get your studs, I think, is in this draft.
Yeah.
And you just don't see in free agency super awesome offensive lineman letting go. You don't let go of a guy for $15 million. You sign him. And, our last Super Bowl, Chris Jones, I mean, the guy, I think he's arguably our worst player on the team is on.
It's both the right guard and the right tackle.
Yeah.
And our player got hurt in that game, so now you're with your backup of your weak spot.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah. And, if that guy could have, gone like this, fell down on the ground,
at least
done anything, make him
him.
jump over you.
Yeah.
We had a wide open guy because I think the defensive guy fell down.
Overtime, Ayuk, there's nobody within 7 yards of him.
All we needed was a quarter of a second, half of a second. And so the other thing with this offensive line is when it's that bad, the other team can go, okay, Mr. Shanahan, you got great play action, all this, but this side of your offensive line stinks. So that affects how you run the ball. That affects everything. And so you better have a Brock Purdy or a guy with a super great mental processor, and because it isn't going to work without that.
The unfortunate thing is Guyton was a guy that the 49ers would have liked to have taken. He went 2 picks before that. The 49ers also need cornerbacks, as we've got a whole bunch of people that are free agents next year, and one of the best cornerbacks just went right before that to the Ravens. So 2 of the players that I really wanted in the 20s just went right before us. I wish at 31 we could trade back. We're not great at picking great picks in the first round, and so it's nice to have the extra pick. The pick is in, so it does look like the 49ers are going to pick, but I agree with you. Brock Purdy has a unique, I would say elite ability to make quick decisions. He doesn't have an elite arm strength, but he processes really well. And you give him a quarter more second, half a more second especially, you can do some really good things with somebody that processes so well. So it'll be interesting. The thing that's hard is offensive lineman. Do you take the 40th best player at the 31 pick because you're 31st pick because you're needing that? So will they go by need or availability? It looks like the commissioner is about to announce it. Sometimes he takes some time to do it, but the pick is in, and we went wide receiver, Florida. Wow. So that tells me a couple things. It doesn't necessarily mean that we're getting rid of Ayuk, but we will be losing Juwan Jennings next year. And if we keep Ayuk, we are going to be getting rid of Debo, I think, at the end of next year, because then we can save a whole bunch of money. So this might be a pick to replace potentially Debo next year. But if you keep both of them and you have Jennings, this is an interesting pick. He's a good player, but they must have had him as best available, and they didn't want to reach, and they probably thought in the second round they can get their tackle, because the tackles were really good. There was a handful of them.
Yeah.
and then there's a handful that are all in that second round range. So because Guyton's gone, I think this pick was made. I think it was changed, and I'm not too mad about changing things rather than overreaching. They just showed an unbelievable. That was like an Odell Beckham catch. That was a glove catch. That was amazing. So this is always great. They show the draft room afterwards, and everybody typically is always really, really happy. Although the 49ers are just in discussion
we need
mode.
Offensive linemen, though. I mean, this is all great, and they may be gone, but at the end of the day, when you telegraph to the entire NFL, like, all you have to do, this is where you beat us up. What's interesting is last year they needed offensive linemen, and they went the whole draft with 10 picks or whatever it was. Same thing.
Not one offensive lineman.
Same thing the year before. You'd think you'd win the Super Bowl. And, I look at the Chiefs, and where are they rated? Now, you've got a great quarterback, undoubtedly, but how's their offensive line?
Yeah.
Oh, happens to be top 5. And you go to the Ravens, and they got a great quarterback, but where are they rated? Oh, they just happen to be top 5 offensive line. And there's and how are the Eagles? Oh, they just happen to be top rated.
Well, at least you can say this. The 49ers are consistent. They go where you don't think they're going to go.
I think we're in the bottom. Literally, I think we're in the bottom. We were rated, I think, like number 26 for our offensive line. Number 26. And that's with
Trent Williams, one of the greatest of all time.
We got the stud of studs over there, and we're still rated number 26. So, anyhow, we got a wide receiver.
Maybe the second round. I always have to do this. Every draft I go, well, maybe the next round. And then we take a kicker in the third round. So, whatever. We'll go forward. We'll see where it happens. This is the last pick. Carolina is up, but this has been a fun draft. I want to thank everybody for joining us. Remember, if you hit the subscribe button, it would be helpful to us. It helps us get out our content, and we're having a lot of fun. We will next week be coming back, and we will be discussing our thoughts on the draft in general, the winners and the losers. I already, have some opinions right now, but I'll have to sleep on some things and see where they're at in the second, third, and fourth rounds going forward. But thank you guys for joining us, and we will see you again soon.